Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Emma covered her mouth in disbelief, nodding repeatedly as tears of joy streamed down her face. The two of them hugged each other tightly, overcome with emotion. The onlookers, oblivious to the full story, cheered and offered their congratulations, but some murmured in confusion. Wasn't Jason going to propose to Rachel? Yeah, he said so in the group chat. He even asked us to come here and support him. So what's happening now? Who knows? They held each other for a long time before Jason turned around, microphone in hand. With a steady voice, he addressed the crowd. Thank you all for being here to witness our love today. In the past, I didn't understand my true feelings, but now I do. The person I've always loved is Emma. I made the mistake of letting her go once, but I don't want to make that mistake again for the rest of my life. I want to be with her, hand in hand, growing old together. Then he turned to me, his gaze calm and resolute. Forced love is never sweet. What we had was a mistake. I hope we can part on good terms. Rachel, please don't cling to the past. The ringing in my ears from the crowd's commotion began to subside. I realized I had returned to the past, back to the day Jason was supposed to propose to me. Looking at him now, I remembered the words he had said in my previous life, that if he could do it all over again, he would choose Emma. His eyes now mirrored the calm, calculating look he had at 38 years old in my past life, detached and rational. Years of navigating the corporate world had given him an air of maturity and steadiness, but right now we were still college sophomores. At this point in time, Jason and I had been dating for 2 years. He had chosen Valentine's Day to inform all our mutual friends and classmates, decorating the outdoor track with an elaborate flower arrangement, ready to propose to me that evening. The proposal also had a lot to do with Emma. She was a year ahead of us, the lead singer of a band, beautiful, lively, bold, and free-spirited. From the moment she laid eyes on Jason at the freshman welcome party, she was smitten. She didn't hide her feelings, frequently giving him gifts, bringing him breakfast, and creating opportunities to be alone with him during student council activities. Even though she knew about me, she would shrug it off, saying, "You're not married yet anyway. Life is about being bold. If you meet someone you like, you should go for it. How will you know if they're the one unless you try?" Jason always kept a cold expression toward her, but that didn't deter her. She continued to stick by his side with a radiant smile. Frustrated, he decided to propose to me on Valentine's Day, hoping to make it clear to Emma that he was committed to me and would never love her. In my previous life, when Jason proposed to me, Emma stood front and center in the crowd, wearing a fiery red dress that exuded confidence and passion. She called out to him, "Jason, have you thought this through? If you go through with this proposal, I'll really stop liking you. I'm asking. You won last time, will you choose me?" Jason's response had been firm. "The only wife I'll ever have is Rachel. She's the only one I love. Please stop clinging to me, Emma." But now, in this life, he said our relationship was a mistake and told me not to cling to him. Under the curious, gossiping gazes of the crowd, I stared at their tightly clasped hands. Calmly I said, "Fine. From this moment on, we're done. From now on, we'll go our separate ways. There's no need for us to have any further ties." Hearing my words, Jason visibly relaxed. Emma squealed in excitement, jumping into his arms and wrapping her legs around his waist. "I knew you'd choose me, but it took you so long to say yes. You owe me." He replied indulgently, "What do you want?" "I want to feel what it's like to ride a motorcycle at full speed." "No problem." "I want to sing at the top of my lungs on a mountaintop." "Done." "I want to try all the drinks in every bar we can find." "Sure." Jason looked at her with affection, as if she were a long-lost treasure he had finally regained. The crowd erupted in cheers. "Kiss her! Kiss her!" they chanted in unison. Meanwhile, my roommates fumed on my behalf. "Jason is such a jerk," one of them said indignantly. "How could he publicly cheat like this? And all that talk about realizing his true feelings, why couldn't he figure it out earlier? Why wait until now to break up? He invited everyone here supposedly to propose to Rachel, but instead he breaks up with her in front of all these people. Unbelievable." Without missing a beat, he seamlessly moved on to the next lowlife. I turned to my friends and said, "Didn't you mention a new bar opening today? Let's go. It's my treat." As they watched me calmly down one drink after another, their concern grew. They tried to comfort me, saying I shouldn't waste my emotions on someone like him. I smiled, wrapped my arms around them, and reassured them, I'm actually happy. Leaving him truly makes me happy. You see, Jason and I grew up as next-door neighbors, childhood sweethearts. Our families were well matched in social and financial status, and a union between the two was inevitable. From a young age, we were paired together by our families. We supported and encouraged each other through everything, promising to start dating once we got into college and to marry right after graduation. Everything unfolded as planned in my previous life. After we got married, our days were consumed by work, daily necessities, and raising children. Over time, our relationship lost its spark. Jason often complained that life had become too predictable, too mundane, devoid of any excitement. Meanwhile, Emma had become a rising star in the rock scene. Her fiery, passionate performances at music festivals caught Jason's attention. Even if it was just a video clip, he would watch those videos repeatedly. Later, he found excuses to approach her. At that time, Emma lived by the philosophy of living in the moment. She didn't believe in marriage and had just ended a relationship with her previous boyfriend. One was looking for excitement, the other was carefree and bold. Between two adults, words weren't necessary, and they ended up in a relationship that crossed many boundaries. When I found out, I confronted Jason, but his response was indifferent. He told me I could find someone else if I wanted. He didn't care. Looking at his detached expression, void of the tenderness and passion he once had for me, I filed for divorce. Initially, he refused. After all, dividing our assets would be complicated. But eventually, under my persistence, he gave in. Still, his eyes carried mockery as he said, Of course, being with someone spontaneous and free-spirited is true happiness. The 2 weeks I've spent with Emma have brought me more joy than the first half of my life ever did. The recklessness and passion I missed out on in my youth I now finally have. You're just a carefully cultivated child of privilege, raised to follow the rules. Your head is always logical, calculating gains and losses. You'll never understand what it's like to live with passion and abandon. I couldn't help but think how blind I'd been not to realize just how naive and foolish he was. He thought he'd uncovered the secret to life, but he failed to see that without a solid foundation, his carefree lifestyle was nothing but a castle built on sand. One gust of wind, and it would all come crashing down. After drinking too much, I excused myself to the restroom. On the way, I passed a private room with an intricately carved wooden door left slightly ajar. I overheard someone asking Jason, What you pulled at the track today was completely unexpected. Isn't Rachel your childhood sweetheart? Do you really not have any feelings for her anymore? Jason exhaled a puff of smoke, forming a faint ring before he replied, Childhood sweethearts? That's just because we grew up together and our families pushed us toward each other. I only thought I liked her because of that. It's nothing more than the affection of a friend. Her rational, cold personality isn't what I want. Then who do you really like? Someone teased. Jason wrapped an arm around Emma and pulled her close. Who else but Emma? He replied. Just then, someone bumped into me in the narrow hallway, causing the half-open door to swing fully open. The people inside turned toward me, their laughter dying down immediately. Jason stubbed out his cigarette in the ashtray and looked at me indifferently. I thought we agreed to break up. You're not going to cling to me, are you? Why are you here now? Emma immediately perched herself on Jason's lap, wrapping her arms around his neck possessively. I told you from the start, didn't I? Until the very end, no one knows who'll win, and now Jason has chosen me. You're not thinking about trying to take him back, are you? Jason patted her shoulder reassuringly. Relax, I never go back to what I've already let go of. I couldn't help but laugh. These two really were a perfect match, equally self-absorbed. Don't worry, I'm just passing by. I don't deal in recycling garbage, I said lightly as I turned to leave. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Jason's expression darken for a moment. The feelings that had long been worn down in my previous life now felt completely unnecessary. Their dream life together stirred no emotions in me anymore. As I turned to leave, I unexpectedly bumped into someone. My hands instinctively landed on a firm chest for support. I'm pretty solid. When I looked up, I was startled to see it was Nathaniel Cooper. Nathaniel was the heir of the Cooper family from the north of the city. He was 5 years older than me and had just returned from abroad after completing his studies, ready to take over the family business. In the dim flickering lights of the bar, he stood there in a black shirt buttoned all the way up. His cold and sharply defined face was illuminated by the moody lighting. His aloof demeanor gave off an air of abstinence. Nathaniel glanced down at me, noticing I was still leaning against his chest. Embarrassed, I quickly stepped back and apologized. At that moment, voices carried from the private room again. "Honestly, Rachel is really pretty," someone said. "Now that you two have broken up, Jason, I might just go after her, by the way." Another voice chimed in teasingly. "Mind if I ask something personal? Did you two ever, Jason let out a mocking laugh. "Rachel's way too conservative. She insisted on waiting until we were engaged to even think about it. So boring and rigid." "Well, in that case, I'm definitely going to take up the challenge," the guy replied with a chuckle. Emma's dissatisfied voice followed. "If you'd succeeded in proposing tonight, wouldn't you have ended up with her? Guess now I'm the lucky one." "You're the one I want," Jason replied indulgently. "Why don't we celebrate tonight at my place?" Hearing their shameless conversation, my stomach churned, both from the alcohol and disgust. I forced a dismissive grunt and hurried toward the restroom. Just as I was about to collide with another person, someone's arm wrapped around my waist to steady me. That was it. I couldn't hold it anymore. I vomited all over the man's black shirt, creating a very artistic design. "Sorry about that," I stammered, but it was pointless. I didn't need the restroom anymore. I completely emptied my stomach. His shirt and shoes were both ruined. Mortified, I covered my face, utterly humiliated. For the first time in my life, I vaguely heard him calmly instructing a staff member to clean up. Then he turned to me, his voice steady. "There's a hotel upstairs. Do you want to head there to clean up?" I nodded, feeling weak from drinking too much, and then throwing it all up so suddenly. My legs wobbled as I tried to move. "Excuse me," he said before scooping me up in his arms and carrying me into the elevator. After washing up in the hotel room, I was surprised to see Nathaniel still standing there. He explained, "This room only has one bathroom." Embarrassed, I quickly stepped aside to let him in. Just then my phone rang. It was my roommate reminding me that the dorms' curfew was approaching and I needed to head back soon. I briefly explained the situation to them and told them to go ahead without me. I'd be back shortly. I booked a room at the hotel. A little while later, there was a knock at the door. Someone had delivered 2 sets of clothes, 1 for men and 3 for women, along with some honey water. I glanced at the frosted glass door of the bathroom, wondering how I could return the favor for this unexpected gesture. The sound of water running in the bathroom filled the room, and suddenly I remembered that after my shower, I carelessly left my underwear on the bathroom counter. Worse yet, all the bathrobes and towels were currently with me. Clenching my fists, I silently screamed in frustration. In my previous life, I was almost flawless in handling situations, yet in this rebirth, I'd already experienced 2 thoroughly embarrassing incidents. It was driving me crazy. I quickly stepped out to see if I could book another room at the front desk, only to find out the hotel was fully booked. They didn't have extra bathrobes either, but they did manage to find a couple of towels for me. Hearing the water stop, I approached the bathroom door and said awkwardly, "I brought you some fresh towels." I slid them through the gap in the door, but as I did, my fingers accidentally brushed against his. My heart skipped a beat when he came out drying his hair. My eyes involuntarily landed on his torso. His 6-pack abs were clearly defined, glistening with water droplets that slid down his skin. Maybe it was the alcohol, but my face felt like it was on fire. I quickly turned away and said, "Someone brought over some clothes and honey water." His hand paused midair as he was towel drying his hair. I wasn't sure about your size, so they brought 3 different options. See which one fits you." "The honey water is to help with the alcohol," I muttered, then added with frustration, "The hotel's fully booked. I have no idea why there are so many people staying here." He thought for a moment, raising an eyebrow. "It's probably because it's Valentine's Day, right?" The realization hit me. The mention of Valentine's Day made the atmosphere a little awkward. I forced a smile and said, "I'll try checking other hotels. I don't want to intrude on you and your girlfriend." He walked over, his six-pack abs now directly at my eye level as I sat on the couch. My throat felt a little dry. Looking at me seriously, he said, "I don't have a girlfriend." Then grabbing the hairdryer, he added, "And other hotels are likely full too. Besides, you're a young woman. It's not safe to be wandering around at night looking for a place to stay." I frowned. If I went home this late, my parents would definitely ask questions. My mom, who'd been reading too many articles about campus bullying, might even overthink the situation. Telling them what happened with Jason would only ruin their night's sleep. "You could stay here for the night," he suggested. "You can take the bed and I'll sleep on the couch." I gave him a skeptical look, which made him laugh. "Relax," he said. "Our families have business dealings with each other. I'm not going to do anything inappropriate." His words reminded me of my previous life. Nathaniel had never married, but under his leadership, his family's business had thrived. There were rumors in social circles speculating that he didn't like women or had some sort of health issue. Remembering that, I felt reassured he didn't have a partner. There was no need to worry. Besides, looking at his broad chest, sculpted abs, and long muscular legs, not to mention his sharp, handsome features, I thought even if something did happen, I wouldn't be losing out. As soon as I relaxed, the post-drinking fatigue hit me hard. He finished drying his hair and glanced at mine. "Aren't you going to dry yours?" I touched my hair. "It's already half dry." He handed me the hairdryer and I gave it a quick once-over. Oddly, the more I dried it, the more awake I felt. The room settled into an awkward silence as we both avoided conversation. After a while, I checked my phone and said, "It's late. We should rest." "All right," he replied, turning off the lights. In the dark, my senses became sharper. Just as sleep began to creep in, the silence in the room seemed almost deafening. Suddenly, some ambiguous sounds drifted through the walls, reminding me of why the hotel was fully booked on Valentine's Day. Maybe it was because my period was approaching, but I felt a sudden wave of irritability. Lying there with my eyes open, listening to the noises next door, I became acutely aware of the other presence in the room. In a soft voice, I asked, "Are you awake?" "I am," Nathaniel replied. Maybe it was the alcohol, maybe it was the fact that I'd lived and died once and wanted to let loose for a change, or maybe it was just the mood in the moment. With the moonlight filtering in, I glanced over at the sofa where his legs rested in plain view. Swallowing hard, I said, "The bed's pretty big. Do you want to sleep here instead?" His voice turned deep and low. "Do you know what you're saying?" Suddenly, I remembered the rumors from my previous life. "You're not incapable, are you? Medicine is pretty advanced these days. If it's a problem, you don't have to live with it forever. Otherwise, you might end up single for life." The bed dipped as he leaned over me, his voice calm but intense. "This is a challenge, isn't it?" His face was close to mine. "If I'm capable or not, you can find out for yourself." Feeling the warmth of his body against mine, I tensed up, but emboldened, I reached out and said, "Well, there's only one way to know." That night was a blur of passion and heat. Turns out the rumors couldn't have been more wrong. Not only was he capable, he was very capable. The next morning my back ached terribly. Nathaniel was nowhere to be found when I got up. After freshening up and packing my things, I stepped out of the room and ran into him at the hotel entrance. He was holding several takeout boxes. "I got us some breakfast," he said casually. "Heading back to campus, I'll drive you." Still feeling a bit sore, I didn't protest sitting in his car. I alternated bites of a sandwich with sips of milk. Just before I got out, he raised his phone and said, "Add me on WeChat." The way his fingers rhythmically tapped the steering wheel, combined with the predatory look in his eyes, was unmistakable. As someone with the soul of a 38-year-old, I could read his intentions perfectly. After a brief pause, I gave him a smile. "Sure." On my way to class, I crossed paths with Jason and Emma. I ignored them and kept walking, but Jason stepped in front of me, blocking my way. "Where were you last night?" he demanded. "That's my business," I replied coolly. "Don't you think you're overstepping?" Jason's face darkened. "Someone saw you being carried to a hotel room by a man. Who is he? What happened between you two?" I laughed coldly. "Who I'm with is my choice. If I'm not mistaken, we broke up yesterday. You're acting like this. I might think you still have feelings for me." Emma's expression shifted. and she pulled her arm free from Jason's grip. If she wants to go to a hotel with someone, let her. Why do you care so much? Don't tell me you still have feelings for her. Jason quickly grabbed her arm and tried to placate her. I'm just concerned because we grew up as neighbors. My feelings for you are clear to everyone. Why else would I have chosen you in front of so many people yesterday? He turned back to me, his tone distant. Don't misunderstand. I broke up with you yesterday because I thought you might not be able to move on and would do something reckless, like being with some random guy to spite me. As long as that's not the case, we're good. I chuckled, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Sometimes it's best not to be too self-absorbed. You're not the only man in the world. You've moved on with your new life, so naturally, I'll find a new boyfriend too. Jason's brows furrowed, but I didn't give him a chance to respond. I turned and walked away. His narcissism and double standards were laughable. Just because Emma had pursued him for 2 years, he thought his charm was unmatched. As time passed, the drama of the Valentine's Day proposal slowly faded from campus gossip. Meanwhile, Jason and Emma's couple status gained more and more fans. Jason was often seen giving her rides on his bicycle, the two basking in the summer breeze, looking like the leads of a campus romance drama. They kissed passionately on the mountaintop, swearing to love each other for a lifetime. They sped down the midnight roads on a motorcycle, revving in the adrenaline rush. They sang freely by the seaside at night, embracing the feeling of life's boundless freedom. They even tattooed each other's initials on their waists as a declaration of their intense love. Emma's singing began to gain a small following on social media. Combined with their frequent posts of couple photos and videos, along with dramatic love captions, they attracted a sizable audience. Many people remarked that they were a perfect match. The protagonist from a romance novel. As for Jason, he finally got the passionate, unrestrained youth he had longed for in his previous life. When he posted a picture with Emma on his social media, the whole story reached our families. My parents were furious. I had to calm them down, saying that it was better for this to come out now rather than later, after we were married and something worse happened. To ease their minds, I also told them I no longer had feelings for Jason, and that they didn't need to worry about me. My mom looked at me with relief and nodded. You've always been rational. It's important to leave room for yourself in relationships. That way, you can walk away unscathed when things change. My dad, however, pondered for a moment and said, It seems we'll have to find a new partner for the Northern project. I stayed silent. In my previous life, because Jason and I were together, our families always prioritized working with each other. The Northern project had been given to Jason's family, even though I knew they weren't the most suitable partner. It was more about keeping the benefits within the family and strengthening our bond. But in this life, since we couldn't become family, the priority should simply be whoever offered the greatest benefit. My academic schedule wasn't particularly demanding, so I spent my free time interning at my family's company. I also frequently attended business events to broaden my horizons and build connections. This weekend, I attended the 80th birthday celebration of a senior family friend. After greeting the host alongside my dad and a few others, I headed to the dessert area to take a break. That was when Jason's younger brother approached me, holding a glass of wine. Miss Rachel, you look stunning today, he said with a smile. Thank you, I replied politely, taking a sip of his drink. He glanced at me and said, I heard the Northern project your father's working on hasn't found a partner yet. I shook my head. I wouldn't know. My father's handling that personally. He chuckled. My brother really threw away a winning hand, dropped the watermelon, and might not even pick up the sesame seeds. He even dared to skip an event like this. I didn't comment. Looking at me thoughtfully, he added with a sly smile, I'm only 2 years younger than you, Miss Rachel. Why not consider me instead? Politely but firmly I declined, saying I wanted some time alone. Once he left, a deep, smooth voice came from behind me. Miss Rachel seems quite popular. I turned to see Nathaniel gripping my glass tighter. Eavesdropping isn't very gentlemanly of you, Mr. Cooper, I said. He leaned in slightly, his voice low. A gentleman doesn't lose composure in certain situations, but when it comes to you, Miss Rachel, I can't be a gentleman. The closeness of his body instantly brought back memories of that wild, reckless night. Swirling the wine in my glass, I asked lightly, And what does that mean, Mr. Cooper? That boy earlier was Jason's younger brother, wasn't he? Too young for you. Looking for someone, Miss Rachel, why not consider me? Instead, he smiled, the confidence in his mature and magnetic charm unmistakable. I looked at the man in front of me. His poise and charisma were undeniable. Thinking about his future business strategies in the coming years, I had to admit he was both capable and shrewd. If I were to consider someone like him as a partner, just as I was about to respond, I heard whispers from the crowd. Turning my head, I saw Jason walking in. Not only that, but Emma was with him. They had clearly just ridden in on a motorcycle, still dressed in leather riding gear that clashed sharply with the formal suits and dresses of everyone else. Jason's father stood nearby, speaking to him in a low voice, clearly furious. Meanwhile, Emma clung to Jason's arm, glancing around the room without a care in the world. After greeting the birthday celebrant, Jason led Emma toward me. "You said you were hungry earlier," he said to her. "Didn't you just eat stir-fry noodles?" "I want to try some of the desserts here," Emma said, looking around. "I wonder if the food at a wealthy person's party is different from what they sell in regular shops." "Sure, whatever you want," Jason replied indulgently. The two acted intimately, completely ignoring their surroundings. When Jason saw me, he gave me a slight nod, his expression indifferent. Emma wandered from table to table, grabbing a piece here and another there. She even pulled out her phone to snap a selfie. Finally, she picked up a piece of cake and walked over to me, spinning around theatrically. "You rich people really love your sense of ceremony. Even for a birthday party, you insist on wearing gowns and suits, looking all fancy." Someone nearby couldn't hold back and retorted, "That's how you're supposed to dress for formal events. It's about showing respect. But you show up in motorcycle gear, your hair all messy. Isn't that just a bit too disrespectful?" Emma casually ran her fingers through her hair. "This is called casual," she said. "Even the birthday celebrant said we young people are full of life and energy. He praised us for being genuine and straightforward. You guys dress up like this all the time. Aren't you tired of pretending?" Her words drew irritated looks from those who overheard, and Jason's indifferent expression didn't help matters. Jason stepped in front of Emma protectively, apologizing. "Qua, Emma is straightforward by nature. I hope everyone won't take it to heart. It's a birthday celebration after all. Let's not ruin the mood." In his past life, Jason was at the top of the corporate world, and people fawned over him no matter how cold his demeanor was. But now, as a university student without any real position or authority, his aloof attitude only earned him disapproving stares. Someone his age asked pointedly, "Jason, what do you even like about her? Rachel has a better family background, looks, and abilities. Isn't she clearly the better choice?" For a moment, all eyes fell on me. Jason frowned and glanced at me before replying, "Rachel is great, but Emma is the best." He took Emma's hand and added, "I like her honesty and passion. Being with her makes me feel relaxed and happy." Emma boldly leaned in and kissed him in front of everyone, a public display of affection that left the surrounding guests visibly uncomfortable. Such behavior at a formal event was undeniably inappropriate. Someone sneered, "What is this, a live audition for a soap opera?" I later heard that after the event, Jason's father had a huge argument with him, demanding he break up with Emma and apologize to me. His father insisted that I was the only one who could truly help him in his career. Jason refused, claiming he didn't need to rely on a woman for success. The conversation ended in a stalemate. Honestly, I felt relieved. Jason was firmly on my blacklist now. I hoped he'd stay with Emma for good and never come crawling back to me. Just the thought of it made my skin crawl. As for the Northern project, my father eventually chose to partner with the Cooper family. He couldn't stop praising Nathaniel, who even came over for dinner once. That afternoon, I was preparing to return to school when Nathaniel offered to drive me, saying it was on his way. As I reached for the door handle to get out, I realized it was still locked. Confused, I turned to look at him. He was tapping his fingers rhythmically on the steering wheel, his gaze carrying a hint of dominance. "You still haven't given me an answer about the question I asked at the banquet," he said. I immediately remembered and squinted at him. "Are you serious? Do I look like I'm joking?" he replied, his expression unwavering. Looking at his slightly nervous demeanor, I smiled. "All right. Nathaniel stared at me in disbelief. What? Didn't you say you wanted to date me? Mr. Cooper, I'm agreeing. If I had to choose someone to marry for the sake of an arranged union, Nathaniel was indeed a good choice. At least in my previous life, he remained single and had no scandals to his name. He fixed his gaze on me, his intensity unyielding. You're really agreeing? Smiling, I reached out and playfully ran my finger along his jawline. Mr. Cooper, you're handsome and capable. Saying yes should come naturally, shouldn't it? Nathaniel looked genuinely surprised as he grabbed my hand, as if struggling to believe what I just said. I leaned over and kissed him on the lips, biting down lightly. Do you believe me now? His deep eyes were filled with turbulent emotions as he cupped the back of my head and took control of the kiss. It wasn't until we were both out of breath that he finally let go, stroking my lips. Summer break is coming up. What are your plans? I was originally planning to intern at my family's company, I replied, but looking at Nathaniel, I suddenly changed my mind. How about interning at your company for 2 months? He smiled. You don't want to be apart from me? I spoke honestly. Everyone knows how capable you are, Mr. Cooper. I want to learn from you. Would you give me the chance? It'd be my pleasure. And so when I arrived and became Nathaniel's assistant. Being by his side, I experienced firsthand his sharp insights into industry trends and his decisive, efficient work style. He was a true workaholic, regularly working overtime until midnight. Despite his demanding schedule, he was incredibly disciplined, waking up at 6 a.m. every day to exercise. His self-control extended to social events, where even when women tried to flirt with him, he politely declined their advances. I teased him once. You're really not tempted? He replied. If I accept it, the deal would lose a few percentage points in value. Contracts are more important to me. If it weren't for the energy he showed at night, I might have doubted whether he was truly capable. One evening, after an especially passionate moment, I asked him, if you hadn't met me, would you have stayed single forever? He thought for a moment and said, I don't know. I already planned the next 20 years for the company. Maybe I'd stay busy with work. Or maybe if I met someone suitable, I'd settle down. I couldn't help but internally roll my eyes. You were single well into your 40s and never met anyone suitable. Curious, I asked, why did you choose me? He looked at me thoughtfully and said, I don't know either. The first time I saw you was at a banquet. I even asked around about you later, but you were with Jason at the time. When I found out you'd broken up, I decided to make my move. Time flew by and 5 years passed. After graduating from university, I pursued further studies abroad on Nathaniel's advice. With the skills I gained under his mentorship, I felt confident managing the family business. I became adept at handling projects and selecting the right people for key roles. The year I returned, Nathaniel proposed and I said yes. Meanwhile, Jason and Emma had been living their carefree, passionate lives. When they graduated, they even held a graduation wedding, with Emma in a wedding gown and Jason in a suit, creating a viral moment on social media. People praised their love as the perfect romance. In her previous life, Emma, who had vowed never to marry, had tied the knot with the man she chased for 2 years. Jason, as he had always said, married the fiery and passionate woman he wanted. We all pursued our own dreams and lived the lives we chose. I thought that was the end of the story, but life, like a notebook full of wrong answers, always has someone ready to tear it apart and rewrite it. Jason had joined his family's business while Emma became a rock singer. I heard from friends that their relationship was tumultuous, breaking up and getting back together multiple times. Their growing fan base, combined with Jason's status, often landed their romance in the headlines. I understood the need for passion in life, but recently rumors of their breakup had been non-stop. There were photos of them arguing and videos of Emma dancing closely with another man at a bar. I skimmed through the gossip like any other entertainment news, and then returned to planning my wedding and focusing on work. As Nathaniel held my hand and we walked out of the office together, my phone buzzed with a call from an unexpected number. Answering it, I heard a familiar voice say, "Look to your left." Glancing over, I spotted Jason standing not far away, holding his phone and staring at me. Nathaniel's grip on my hand tightened. I patted Nathaniel reassuringly. "Wait for me here. It's probably just a work-related matter. I'll be back soon." We had run into Jason a few times in professional settings, given the circles we operated in. As Nathaniel kissed my forehead, it felt like he was staking his claim. I couldn't help but chuckle at his subtle possessiveness. Walking up to Jason, I immediately noticed the strong smell of smoke clinging to him. I looked at him indifferently. If this is about work, Mr. Brooks, it's better to contact me during office hours. He smirked faintly and glanced at me. How have you been lately? I raised an eyebrow. Quite well. It didn't seem like he wanted to talk about work, and I had no reason to linger. Just as I was about to bid him goodbye and leave, he lit another cigarette. I haven't been doing so well, he said, frowning at the smoke. I silently took a couple of steps back to keep my distance as he spoke. I learned more about his current situation. Since graduating and joining the family business, he'd had less time to spend with Emma. Yet Emma continued to live a carefree social lifestyle, frequently partying and meeting new friends. Sometimes she got too close to other men, which naturally led to confrontations. Their arguments became more frequent. Emma complained that Jason didn't spend enough time with her, while Jason retorted that Emma didn't understand the pressures of supporting a family. Emma argued that life should be about enjoying the moment. Why chase after so much money when you can't take it with you when you die? But deep down, Jason didn't think that way. To him, money was the foundation of everything. While they were in school, he could rely on his family, but now that he graduated, he needed to earn everything himself. Complicating matters, Jason had 2 older brothers and 2 younger half-brothers, illegitimate children recognized by his father and brought into the family. The internal competition within the family was fierce. Jason's abilities were mediocre at best. In my previous life, the support of my family had allowed him to gain control over most of the company without my help. This time, even with his memories from the past, he was struggling. He let out a bitter laugh. I guess I just felt frustrated and needed someone to talk to. Somehow I ended up here. Do you think I'm a failure now? I replied evenly. Everyone chooses the life they want to live and the path they want to walk. Since you chose this path, success or failure depends on how you define it. Whatever you're going through has nothing to do with me anymore. I have a fiancé now. If you want someone to talk to, Mr. Brooks, I suggest you find someone else. My fiancé gets jealous easily. Out, Nathaniel. I couldn't help but smile. Jason stared at me intently, as if wanting to say more, but I cut him off. If there's nothing else, I'll be going now. Goodbye, Mr. Brooks. The moment I got back to the car, Nathaniel grabbed me and kissed me fiercely, meeting his gaze filled with possessiveness. I smiled and tapped my forehead lightly against his. Don't worry, I don't go back to what I've left behind. Besides, with someone like you, Mr. Cooper, why would I ever let go of such a towering tree? 2 months later, our wedding took place as planned. The ceremony was grand and dreamlike. When my father placed my hand in Nathaniel's, I saw his eyes turn red as the officiant announced the exchange of vows. Nathaniel slid the ring onto my finger and pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead. With a solemn expression, Nathaniel said, "I love you." I placed the ring on his finger as well, smiling brightly. "I love you too." In this world, there are people who will betray your love, but there are also those who carry a heart full of genuine sincerity. People who possess true hearts should not be let down. And so, Nathaniel, in this lifetime I choose you. Even if I keep a small part of myself guarded, the rest of my love belongs entirely to you. As long as you remain true to me, I will stand by your side no matter what. Our married life was simple yet fulfilling. But then, the internet exploded with news about Emma drunkenly booking a hotel room with another man. The time and place were laid out in detail. Fans eagerly followed the scandal. Jason, meanwhile, was ambushed by reporters in the middle of a night market. He looked utterly haggard, his demeanor unkempt and weary. The reporters' questions grew sharper by the second. In a live broadcast, Jason suddenly grabbed a reporter's microphone and smashed it to the ground before pushing his way through the crowd and leaving. I skimmed through the news briefly, then turned back to reading about new policy updates. But just then my phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, I frowned. It was Jason. I answered hesitantly, hearing his labored breathing on the other end. "I regret everything," he said, his voice distant and raw. "Let's get back together." "Jason," I said coldly, "don't start. We both have our own partners now. Even if I didn't, I would never marry you." But he said with a bitter laugh, You were my wife in our past life. We are the ones who are meant to be together. My heart skipped a beat. His tone was completely off. What are you talking about? I don't understand. This isn't about work. Don't call me again. My husband and I are very much in love. Please don't disturb my life anymore. With that, I hung up and immediately blocked his number. Yet a sense of unease settled in my chest. Unable to concentrate on work, I packed up and left for home. When I got to the parking lot and sat in my car, something felt wrong. Glancing into the rearview mirror, I froze, my eyes widening in horror. I tried to open the car door to get out, but something pricked my neck. A sharp pain spread through my body and everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself on the rooftop of our old school. Jason's back was to me as he stood silently. I sat weakly on the ground, taking in my surroundings. My body was unharmed, but the situation was clear. Jason, what are you doing? Do you realize this is kidnapping? He turned around and knelt in front of me, his voice gentle. Rachel, I know I was wrong. The person who's truly right for me is you. Emma was only good for dating, but you're the one who should be my wife. Let's start over, please. My mind raced, trying to formulate a plan. We can talk about this, Jason, but let's go somewhere else first, I said cautiously. His gaze hardened as he studied me. You're lying. He let out a soft chuckle. Rachel, you've always been so smart. I knew you wouldn't agree so easily. You're trying to find a way to escape, aren't you? He stood up and smiled, though his expression was unsettlingly indifferent. Doesn't matter if you don't agree, Rachel. Do you believe in past lives and reincarnation? In our previous life, we were husband and wife. We had a beautiful life together with a son and a daughter. Everyone envied us. This life is all wrong. Now I'm going to restore everything to how it should be. My heart sank. What did he mean by that? I discreetly felt for my phone in my pocket, typing out a message. Jason, noticing my movements, chuckled dismissively. Go ahead, call whoever you want. It doesn't matter. Even if the police come, nothing will change. We'll both end up back at the beginning. Hearing this, I immediately called the police, describing the situation in detail. I then called Nathaniel, asking him to bring Emma along. Maybe she could help talk some sense to Jason. Jason watched me on the phone and glanced at his watch. Half an hour left, he said quietly. My eyes widened in realization. In my previous life, the plane crash that took his life had happened exactly 30 minutes from now. Jason, you're insane. I shouted. You've already chosen the life you wanted. Just because it's not going well doesn't mean you can risk everything to start over again. You want to die? Fine, but don't drag me down with you. I tried to take a step back, but my body was still weak. Jason caught me and carried me to the edge of the rooftop. He stood there, gazing at the school field below. Do you know, he said softly, when I came back to life, it was the moment I was proposing to you? If you had said yes, we'd already be married by now. We would have been so happy. I let out a cold laugh. Happy? Really? Even if I agreed, you'd still be thinking about Emma, wouldn't you? In our previous life, when Jason proposed to me, Emma stood front and center in the crowd, wearing a fiery red dress, bold and radiant. She had called out to him, Jason, have you thought this through? If you go through with this proposal, I'll never like you again. Jason had responded decisively, yet his heart wavered. Now he said to me, we can go back, start over. This time I promise to spend my life with you. I refuse, I said firmly, enunciating each word. Even if we went back to our previous lives, I would never be with you. You know my personality. If I returned with these memories, I'd only stay far away from you. 20 minutes later, Nathaniel arrived with the police and Emma. Nathaniel's face was full of worry as he called out, Jason, take me instead. Let Rachel go. Jason shook his head. Nathaniel clenched his fists tightly. Tell me what you want. Whatever it is, name it. But Jason just shook his head again. Finally, Emma shouted angrily, I knew it. You still have feelings for her. What is this, a double suicide? What are you trying to do now? Jason looked at Emma, his expression filled with disdain. Looking back, the time I spent with you seemed fun at first, but it was just drinking and partying. In reality, it was all boring. Emma scoffed coldly. Then why didn't you break up? You had the most fun out of both of us, and now you're saying it's boring. I regret ever marrying you. If I could go back, I'd stay far away from you. Jason nodded. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what I want, to go back. He glanced at his watch and murmured, It's time. A chill ran through me. Jason, even if you could start over, I would never choose you. He looked at me deeply and nodded. You're right. If you went back with these memories, you wouldn't forgive me. That's why I'll go back alone. I'll fix everything and reclaim what's mine. With that, he let go of me. I'll go back by myself. I fell to the ground, too weak to move. Nathaniel rushed forward, scooping me up and running down the stairs. Once we reached the ground, I saw an ambulance and safety airbags set up below. I spent a month recovering in the hospital. During that time, I heard that Jason didn't die from his fall. Instead, he was left paralyzed and suffered brain damage, unable to recognize anyone. There was almost no hope for recovery. Emma sued Jason for divorce, and with the Brooks family's intervention, their marriage was annulled. Jason, now without memories of his past, spent the rest of his life in a care facility. As for me, I moved on. Nathaniel and I had 2 children. One took his last name, the other took mine. Together, we built a life of love and happiness, walking hand in hand through the years. Those who gave their hearts sincerely found their love returned in kind.